I'm Katie Kramer, the club director for Anytime Fitness Hartford, and I'm here with Doran Timmer, and we are nominating him for the National Success Story. Doran, I want to first start talking a little bit about just your experience with working out and fitness and kind of things that you did in high school and as a kid and in adulthood.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Northern Illinois, and I grew up on a farm, and along with that, I was involved with athletics from the time I was in grade school all the way through undergraduate school and college. So I was active my entire life. I really don't believe I was ever out of shape until, in my mind, I wasn't out of shape until after I graduated from undergraduate school and got married and didn't exercise the way that I had, and I kept eating the way that I had. And so started gaining weight, and after that point I was kind of up and down. Coached, once I started teaching, I coached basketball, track, and football, and so that got me active again for a while. And so pretty familiar up to that point. And then about in 2000 I found out I had a blocked artery in my heart, called the Widowmaker. It's totally 100% blocked in the left side. And I was always somebody that my method for getting in shape and stuff was always high intensity and full out. I ran to stay in shape, and so once I found that out, it was kind of a shock, kind of like I would equate it to kind of like getting cancer or something like that. Yeah. So I really didn't do much of anything, become pretty sedentary, which was probably the worst thing that was the worst thing that I could do.
Was there a specific moment that you decided that you wanted to make some changes?
There were a couple key things that happened all about the same time. I substitute teach once in a while, and when I do, a lot of times I do in physical education, and I was in a specialized physical education class with students with physical needs.
Okay.
And so those we try to improve their physical fitness, and as instructors we go along with them. And so we were doing some push-ups and set-ups, and I was having a tough time keeping up with the people that I was trying to help.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an eye-opener.
Sure.
And then about a week later, my insurance changed to my wife's at the hospital, and so I had to meet a certain weight and BMI requirement, of which I didn't meet either one.
Okay.
And so what they did was they gave me six months to do something about it, and I had like 4 choices. One was to join a gym, and I had to go at least 10 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could join Weight Watchers, or a couple other things that I don't remember because they were not something that I would do.
Okay.
So I think that same day Sandy and I came to see you.
Okay.
And got started.
Yeah. And how has your experience so far with Anytime Fitness impacted your life?
Immensely. My experience here has been fantastic.
What type of results have you seen so far?
They've been pretty amazing. They were slow to start, and I knew that, and I'm someone that, if the high intensity in running means I want quick results.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my health condition, I knew that wasn't a possibility anymore. And before I joined here, walking didn't work because I'd walk a lot and I didn't see any change. So then I quit doing stuff when that happens. Mm-hmm. So when I got home from seeing you and knowing that we joined, I took out a belt that I could just right through my navel. I could just touch the ends, barely. And took some, just kind of did something around my leg and arms, just to, because I thought, okay, when I think I'm going to quit, I'm going to check those belts and stuff like that. I met with Brett, and we decided to do the personal trainer, and that I don't know if I would have been successful without doing that. Mm-hmm. Even with my knowledge of training, there's so many new things, and obviously I had one way that I did stuff, and that doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And it doesn't work for me anymore.
How have things kind of changed for you in terms of like your recreation activities or time with family?
I have a lot more energy. I feel a lot better. I'm stronger and can do things that I used to be able to do. I'm not afraid to jog. Mm-hmm. I boat with my family again. I play golf, which is something I hadn't done for a while, and so I can see that it's more enjoyable because my core is better and I hit the ball better, and I'm not totally beat by the time I get done with 18 holes anymore.
Good.
Can play with my grandkids.
Yeah, that's
things
huge.
that would take my breath and I'd have to stop. Mm-hmm. Was able to dance with my wife and my daughter at her wedding without losing my breath. And so I was at a 38-inch waist and pushing to back inside 34s, which were what I got married at, basically.
What do your typical workouts look like with Brett?
Well, he varies them all the time, which I told him about how I am about results, and I know that you can get plateaus and fall into ruts, and so he's done a great job of monthly changing my workout so that it keeps me off guard and it keeps my muscles off guard. They don't know where they're at, and so you're not just doing the same thing all the time. So that's one thing. He started me out slow and gradually built my stamina up. He started me on 2 days a week, 2 workouts a week, and so I did that for maybe 2 weeks, and then I started feeling a little better, and so his 2-day workout week, I changed to 4, so I'd do it Monday, Tuesday, and then I'd redo it the same thing on Thursday, Friday. With Wednesday I would do. At the start, I just rested, but now it depends on the workout. Sometimes he gives me a 4-day-a-week workout. Sometimes it's a 3-day-a-week workout. And so I usually lift, and my lifting is 45 minutes. Usually is what it comes down to. I do about a 10 to 15 minute warm up, sit and stretch, do my lifting, and then I do my cardio after. And so it depends on my schedule, but it might be a 15-minute now where it's a high intensity one.
Sure.
Down to sometimes an hour or hour and a half on the treadmill.
One more. Okay. Yeah, try to minimize. That's good. That's perfect. Awesome. Good job. It's going to be a little harder to maintain it there. Yeah. Got 20 seconds down. Good. You got it. Last two. And that's it.
How do you feel like life might be different if you hadn't made that decision to make changes?
Well, I know that I did a lot of, when you're sluggish and tired, you just don't do stuff. So there's a lot of sitting, and the worst scenario would be that I might not be here.
Do you have any like hurdles or like some obstacles that you had to overcome during that time frame too? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I think I had like I said, I had a fight getting through not seeing immediate results. That was really a hard one. But I started feeling better, and I started not being as winded. And then, like I said, I checked, the first time I checked the belt, I could like overlap the ends an inch where they were just touching to begin with. So I felt pretty good about that. And then my clothes, I looked like I was a street person. My clothes didn't fit. I could undress myself without undoing my belt or anything. And so then I knew that things were changing. I was starting to feel stronger and do things. Mowing the lawn, I could see that I didn't need to take all kinds of breaks. And
Good.
so that was a big hurdle. I think we all say we don't have time to do things, and so your life is pretty important. So I think you can take 15 minutes to a half an hour, and maybe that's how it starts.
Absolutely.
And then once you start feeling better and can do things longer, you just rearrange some things to be able to do it an hour or an hour and a half, or sometimes I go 2 hours on certain days if I have the time.
What do your goals look like going forward?
So I'm all into intermediate little goals to get there. So eventually, I'd like to get my percent body fat down to 10%.
That's awesome.
Whether that'll happen or not, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty amazed at what's happened.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'd like to have my weight stay where I can go out and abuse myself over a weekend and not jump back to 190.
What advice would you give someone who's contemplating getting started?
Get started. That's the key. You have to say that you're worth doing something for, first and foremost. You have to find a place that you're comfortable in, and I don't know how you can't be comfortable here. You and all the personal trainers are friendly and supportive and positive, and the gym has whatever you like to do. The gym has it available, and the key thing, I think, a lot of times when you're totally out of condition like I was, you're afraid what somebody else is going to say, or you see somebody that's fit and you don't think you belong, and that's not the case at all. And so the nice thing here is there's really a wide range of ages, and there's a wide range of where people are in their physical fitness life or transition. I don't know how to put that, but and everybody I found to be friendly, and so I've never felt intimidated, even when I got started, and I look back, and to do a kettlebell squat, I could hardly do 10, and I was totally winded. And so I'm pretty amazed that now I lift a significant amount of weight on a bar that I wasn't ever intending to get back to. And some of the times when I was struggling a little bit, I'd look at somebody that I thought is kind of in the same place that I was, but was a little bit further along in their regime and working a little harder, and I'm thinking, if they get there, I can get there. And so the key is to get started, and if you can only do it for 15 minutes a day, then I would say do that. And pretty soon you'll find that you can change the 15 minutes into a half an hour. And at a half an hour, I think you have something there if you do it consistent. And then when you start feeling better, your body just wants more. And when you start feeling better, you have a better attitude at home and around your friends and your family, and you feel like doing things.
Absolutely.
So.
Good. Is there anything else that you would want to add?
Well, I know that my wife and my daughters wondered, because I was a coach, why I decided to go with a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, that's a waste of money because you can just do your own. And I think it's good to have outside eyes looking at you and what you're doing and how you're progressing, and somebody that has new ideas in different ways. I know that Brett forces me to do things that I wouldn't have done by myself, or if I just did my own routine. He has me do exercises and lifts that I wouldn't even try. And he also knows when I need a rest and should back off, and he knows when he's got to push me a little bit, that I'm accepting where I'm at. And so there's no way I'd be where I was in the amount of time that I've done it without him. I just think that you and Anytime Fitness is a fantastic place for somebody that worries about how they're judged or whether they belong somewhere, because, like I said, the range and the equipment allow to meet the needs of anybody, and the staff here is fantastic. Gavin had a client that was about my age that was thinking about not doing the personal trainer anymore. And so he thought his age difference between her and him was pretty large, so he asked me if I would be willing to just talk to her.
Sure.
So one day she was coming in when I was changing, and so I asked her, I can't even remember her name, but I asked her if that was her, and she said, "Are you Doran?" And well, she knew who I was because she saw when she had read my
your story
about when I was for the month of August.
Oh yeah, member of the month.
Member of the month. And so I just she was feeling like she was getting pushed once in a while, and so didn't feel comfortable.
Okay.
So I just said, that's part of why you need to have a personal trainer, because I said otherwise you get in a rut and you'll just be satisfied where you're at.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you're spending time and you're not seeing any improvement, and then you quit doing it altogether and you're right back where you were to begin with.
Yeah.
So I said, it's totally up to you, but the fact that he pushes you once in a while is him telling you that he thinks you can do a little bit more than what you should be or are doing.
Yeah.
And what he thinks you should be doing, and you just can't take that personal.